True. True.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Let's go. All right. What's good? How are y'all feeling? What's up? Did y'all miss me? We got Misty in the building. What's good, Misty? How you feeling? How are you feeling? My vacation. I love a good weekend getaway, right? It's not too long, it's not too short, and I'll tell you off break. No matter where I go, I'm not a huge like excursion type of person. You feel me? Like if I go out of the country, and some of y'all will feel me on this, right? If you ever go out of the country, especially if you go to some Caribbean island, right? Maybe you're at an all inclusive resort, they have hella excursions, right? I'm not an excursion type of guy. I'll do some of them, but like all the horseback riding and the swim with the dolphins and go see the sharks close up, and I'm not for all of it. I'll do some, but the whole take a catamaran out for 8 hours out of your vacation, like I can't do all that. I just want to be a beach bum. You feel me? Like I just want to lay on the beach for as long as possible. Like until my skin hurts or until I feel like the water that they're bringing me is not hydrating me. You know what I'm saying? Cuz when I'm on vacation, I be drinking. You feel me? This past weekend, again, a nice little weekend trip. We did a bourbon tour. 8 stops in one weekend. That was 8 distilleries we visited in one weekend, chat. Misty. That trip was from Friday to Sunday, technically till Monday. I'll let you know about that. But we hit 8 stops. When we got there on Friday, we did 2 distilleries. On Saturday, we did 4 distilleries. And then Sunday, we did another 2 distilleries. We went straight ham, right? That's the type of excursion I want to go on. Like I don't want to sit in one location for one whole day of my vacation. You feel me? Like if an excursion has to take away majority of one of my days, you know what I'm saying? Besides like, all right, we were on this bourbon tour and we did multiple stops. That's cool. But like going on a bus with a bunch of people I don't know for them to take us either to a boat or to a shopping center, and then we're there for 5 6 hours, then we eat, then we there for another hour and a half, and then we gotta go back. I'm not trying to do that. You feel me? So, where did I go? I know you want to know where I went, right? Let me tell you all my stops in order, right? So on Friday, and if you're a bourbon fan, W's in the chat, first of all. But I went on Friday. We started off at Angel's Envy. For those who don't know, I went to Louisville, Kentucky, right? Whiskey Row, Bourbon Trail, all the things, right? But we didn't stay just in the city because a lot of the distilleries are in the city, but they're all over. So we went out. Like some of the distilleries we went to, it took us like almost 2 hours to get there, right? So we started off at Angel's Envy, which was in the city. And then after Angel's Envy, we went to Old Forester. Yeah. So those were the two we did on Friday in the city. Saturday, we had a private driver. Driver took us out to the first stop, which was Four Roses. After we hit Four Roses, we went to Woodford Reserve. After Woodford Reserve, we went to Wild Turkey. And then we finished off the tour for the day at Buffalo Trace. Right? And I'll tell you my favorites. I'll tell you my favorite drinking experience, my favorite tour. I'll tell you those things. On Sunday we did two distilleries. We did Maker's Mark, and then we did Michter's. Right? Out of all the places, right, some of the obvious questions come up. How did they get their name? The most basic story out of all those locations, chat, was Michter's. Because the creator of Michter's had two sons. One named Michael, one named Peter. And he blended the name. Michter. I said, oh, okay. That was pretty simple. My favorite tour, chat, out of all the locations, my favorite tour was Maker's Mark, right? And let me see if I could do this too. I don't have my phone connected, but let's see if I can get on the Instagram, right? Let's see if I can get on the Instagram. That way I can show. I'll show my screen and show some of the. I posted a couple pictures. All right, so let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna try to share my. Let's see, can we share the TV screen, chat? Hold up. First of all, let's get ready though. Let's get ready. All right, here's the TV. There we go. And then can we get a true in the corner? 3, 2, 1. There we go. That boy getting nice with the transitions. You feel me? You feel me, chat? Okay, so let's bring this over. Okay, if you've never been to my Instagram, this is what my Instagram looks like. Before I get into it, let me tell you, first of all, they had a concert going on, the Ghost Band, and the Ghost Band, I had to listen to some of the music after all the things I witnessed with the Ghost, with the I would say the fans. I said I have to at least listen to some of the music, because those folks out there were dressed for the concert like straight demons. Like I seen like a pregnant, she was definitely a pregnant woman in like a nun's type of gown with like a cross like painted on her face. Like it was crazy. As you can see here, some of the shenanigans. But you know me, like if you haven't known by now, right? True is definitely one of those people. Like I don't judge anyone. Like I don't care. Like if you I don't care how you live your life. I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care about none of that stuff. I just talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I talk to you and you're an asshole, or what you really believe in shows really strongly in your personality, then maybe I won't talk to you again, but I'm not going to judge you. You know what I'm saying? There was, you know how sometimes when you get ghouls and goblins, that's what I'll call them, these demons, right? Sometimes you get these folks together, and the people that wanna save you show up, right? They show up with their pamphlets and they show up with their megaphones, and they're like, let me teach you about your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Let me. Some dude in line for the concert was like, "You're at the wrong place for that." That was hilarious. But nonetheless, I don't judge anyone. I just let people be them. And, I went to talk to them. And as you can see, these are 5 basically ghost fans, demons. I don't know what ghost fans call themselves. All I know is it was 100 degrees out there and I saw a lot of wild costumes. And this is a regular concert. This is for a band. So I went up and talked to them, and I'll get to the bourbon. So I went up and I talked to them because this happened while I was in Kentucky, right? So I said, hey, I really like you guys' get up, like, are you guys, I do my research first, right? So I said, are you guys are you in the pit or whatever? So this woman right here was like, nah, the pit's kind of expensive. And I was like, yeah, those tickets were kind of expensive, but I'm like, either way, you guys make sure you enjoy yourselves. And yeah, this is how they get down. So you see, she has like full vampire teeth. There was a lot of them with full vampire teeth, face paint, all kinds of stuff. Like if you've ever seen like a, I don't know what to call it. I'll just call it like a satanic type of picture. This woman here, she's like doing some type of symbols and stuff or whatever. I mean, I don't care. Like, they can live their life however they want. I thought they looked really nice, so I was like, you guys want? And they were cool too. We were talking, and I was like, you guys want to take a picture? I had my all black on too. I started to go to the concert for a second, but the rest of the crew that I was with, we were all like, yeah, no. Because in my head, I'm like, the beers are probably hella cheap in there. Like, give me a nice little $2 beer. Right? So I'm sure they enjoyed themselves. But yep, that's the ghost band that they were going to see. That was in the at the Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. So yeah. So how I did this, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? That's the order in which I did my tours, right? So here's Angel's Envy. I just wanted to like give people a quick look at some of the pictures I took. I didn't like take a ton of pictures. I did take some pictures and I got a little video. So I want to show you a video later too, because I took a video for a reason, and I'll explain that reason when I get there. But this is Angel's Envy. All of them had really nice setup. So I would say out of the tasting experience, I really enjoyed Angel's Envy because one, they had pairings, right? So, when you're drinking, you kind of want something to nibble onto. But I thought it was good because they were explaining how different chocolates can bring out the notes in the bourbon. So here are some of the pictures I took. The groundbreaking. This was the tour guide. He was a really funny guy. Here's their inside the distillery. This place that we were in was extremely hot, I'll say. This is where the pure whiskey comes out of. It almost looks like hand sanitizer, so you could use it as hand sanitizer. It's like 100 and, I think he said 100 and, what did he say? 136 proof or 163 proof. One of them, really strong, like Everclear levels. So yeah, a couple pictures. Here's the bottling process. These are the folks I was there with. That's Angel's Envy. So this was Friday when we got in. This is Old Forester. Old Forester hooked us up. They gave us pins. They gave us this freaking marshmallow that I just got instantly obsessed with because it was a chocolate covered square marshmallow with like a caramel dust and like sea salt. So it was kind of salty. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But yeah, we had a good time in Old Forester. So the interesting thing is that I learned about Kentucky, and I had to take a picture of this, right? Kentucky has their claim to fame. Apparently, they have the best tap water in all of the United States. That's their claim to fame. So they use that water to make their bourbon because apparently all of Kentucky sits on top of a limestone bed, which filters the water. It like takes out the impurities and it filters out the calcium and other stuff in the water. So it's like really good water. So here's the barrel making in Old Forester, some of the irons that they put around the barrels. Just kind of giving you guys some of the looks. So this is like it becomes a beer before it becomes like a bourbon, right? Before it becomes a whiskey and a bourbon, it becomes like a beer because, and I can recite this to everyone. The three things in order for a bourbon to be considered a bourbon is number one, it has to use 51% corn. That's your first fact. Number two, it has to be made within the United States. Number three, it has to use a brand new, as you saw before, barrel. Those are the three legal requirements for anything to be considered bourbon. Otherwise, it is whiskey, right? So that's an interesting fact. Feel free to ask me questions too if you want. I'm just recapping my trip. For those of you who just showed up, a shout out to everyone in the chat. I'm just kind of recapping my trip. I did go on a 3-day vacation, which was nonstop drinking. I did 8 distillery. I visited 8 distilleries in one weekend. So this is distillery number 2 that I visited, which was Old Forester. So that was my Friday, and then I drank after the distillery tours too. I was drinking the whole weekend. And then this was the Four Roses. Still very nice setup. It was very nice inside. All of those things, right? Old Forester, very nice campus. These places have a lot of land out there in Kentucky, right? Me drinking nonstop, you know. Four Roses, that started my day off, and that was a really hot day. I think we were like 98 plus degrees out there. I'm like looking to the side because I'm trying to see on the TV to make sure I'm scrolling through the pictures correctly. Woodford Reserve. This is a lot of people's favorite bourbon. I have Woodford Reserve right here in my house, actually. I have a couple of these in my house, but Woodford Reserve is one of those classics. I think here is where we started to really feel the liquor. Because we had a cocktail at Four Roses along with the tasting. Each tasting basically gave you like 4 to 5 samples, right? But this cocktail, like at Woodford Reserve, I had a old fashioned. That was one of their claim to fames also. But I mean, I was straight up lit, chat. I was lit, but I was having a good time. And each time we got back into the private transportation, right? I went to sleep. I think that's how I was surviving the whole weekend. Like I was taking naps each time I got inside the van. While Turkey was interesting, again, another look at their setup. I would say the worst setup was probably Buffalo Trace in terms of the tasting. But in their defense, there was a lot of people. And my guess is they're set up to turn around really quick, those tasting rooms, because, but I don't know. That's just the excuse I made for them. And you'll see why. But you see, all of these have like their own personal board. Each person gets one of these, and you get all these different tastings, and they explain everything to you. But this is Wild Turkey. And that was pretty cool. I definitely learned a lot about some of these bourbons. Like some of them, I mean, some of the brands I didn't realize make multiple, like well known or brands that you may have heard of before. And some of you maybe even know that, but I didn't know that. So I was shocked when I learned that some of those brands were related. The biggest shocker was with Buffalo Trace. And I'll I'll tell you about that in just a second. So they make vodka. They have the Buffalo Trace, and this was the biggest surprise. Like when I went on the tour, Blanton's. So Blanton's is, if you've ever heard of or tasted Blanton's before, it's a really popular bourbon. It's like $80 plus a bottle. People like to collect the bottles. Sometimes it's really hard to find. And in my personal opinion, I feel like Buffalo Trace was one of those bourbons that like you would always see it in like a liquor store, but it wouldn't be your first option. But Blanton's is part of Buffalo Trace, and it's actually crazy because they process this stuff in the same place. So it's like, oh my gosh, like you get different notes, but like you could literally just buy Buffalo Trace bourbon if you can't find Blanton's, and it's literally just as good because they're literally processing it in the same place. But chat, you see the setup? Like it's just a piece of paper. They got the Facebook, Instagram, little QR code, and then these plastic throwaway kind of shot glasses. Um, yeah, but again, they had a lot of people. Out of all the tours I went to, Buffalo Trace I think had the most people on each tour, and it was like so many people that I'm like, oh, they probably don't have time to have a dedicated washer for all these cups and stuff, so they probably just toss all that stuff. But yeah, I took some good pictures. This is Blanton's. So Blanton's has four collectible tops for the bottles, and I'll tell you the secret that I didn't know before because I'm like I knew you could collect them, but I didn't realize like each one of them have a specific letter, so that way it spells out Blanton's on there, and it also represents the start and the race of the Kentucky Derby. So those horses are in different positions, and when you put them in, and here's another thing he was showing us: if you collect them and you put them in like a certain, like you put them in order, but if you have something that you can spin them on, then you can actually see the horse running the race. I say, oh, that's cool. And this is them actually bottling and labeling the Blantons. I said, I gotta tell my friend that. One of my buddies, he really likes Blanton's. But I'm like, bro, Blanton's is basically Buffalo Trace. Yeah, some other little pictures, you know, me again, you know. Buffalo Trace was so fucking hot. Like that tour was straight up getting miserable. Like it was literally almost miserable because it was so hot. You know, like it was hot when we went to Maker's Mark as well. But the tour guide for Maker's Mark, I mean, he just knew. Like he knew that, all right, it's very hot. And the stops that he would stop and talk were always like in the shade, in the cool air or something. Like you got to, man. You got some people on this tour that are older. Some people they've been drinking all day, i.e., like me and stuff. And some of the people by the end of Buffalo Trace, because Buffalo Trace was our last tour of the day, but we did. It was at our tour started at like 3:30 p.m. I think, but some people couldn't even really taste the drinks because they were so hot, and they were like, even though we were tasting it inside of a cool area, like some people were just so hot and exhausted by that point. It was like, I can't even continue. And then one of the tastings for it was vodka. So some people are like, oh, like me, I've been drinking bourbon all day, but I didn't care. So if you're wondering, I finished every single glass that was put in front of me, Chad. Every single glass. That was my mission. I didn't care. This is Maker's Mark. But when he did that tour, he made sure he was in the shade and the cool spots, all that. And they had a very, very nice distillery. Very nice. They had a lot of art pieces. I took a lot of pictures. I didn't post all of them on Instagram, but the way it was just set up was like, I mean, you can do your self-guided tours and everything. And it was, Misty, it was a lot of fun. Especially when you know you get drinks in the end, right? But they had a lot of art pieces. This is in the private selection area, but they had art all over the place. And it was really nice. The whole area was nice. Like, look at this. This is inside where they're keeping some of the barrels. And I'm like, man, they really know what they're doing. And they've been doing it for a really long time. Um, Michter's, they have different distilleries, but the one that's in the city is the one that we did, and that area is super small. So it's like you go in, they got everything they need, and then you kind of taste on the other side of the wall. So it wasn't much walking at all, really. It was like you're in this one room that everything happens, and then the tasting room is on the other side. Yeah, in this one, they gave us the most, let's call them shots, but tastings, they gave us the most taste out of anyone. They gave us six. This was Michter's. Michael Peter. But yeah, it was really cool learning about the different learning about the different bourbons. All of them, like I said, all of them are made pretty close to the same way, almost the exact same process. Their maturation process, which is how they get that fine taste, is where some of them differ. But again, legally, they have to follow certain things in order for it to be a bourbon. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so let me show this video. And while I'm showing the video, I'm going to talk because we're just chatting. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Oops. I don't want to move. I don't want to move. Okay. So what you're watching is two things happening. The first is we had just sat down for the Four Roses tasting. And I'll even skip ahead a little bit to about here, where the woman is talking about opening up your crackers to the room. So what I was testing out, which I forgot my tripod, which was a really small legs on the tripod, but I had my camera. So this, I'll show you. So this camera here, right? This camera is the one I'm using to record. So I had it set up on the table. I didn't have my tripod, so I had to be really careful. I didn't want my camera to fall on the ground. But I wanted to test how it would be if, let's say, if I was in an instance where I couldn't go live and I still wanted to record an experience. So I didn't do much talking here because the room was really quiet and we were, everyone was trying to get their tasting experience. Yeah, this is good quality camera for sure. But what I wanted to do is see how good would it be if I were to, let's say, record something and then decide to just, like, what do they call it? Do a commentary or something about the video, right? So that's essentially what I was going for here. Like, okay, let me record a video for my chat, and yeah, voiceover. So this was at Four Roses. And can you hear the woman talking also? I think you can hear it too. She was basically telling us, chat, like, everyone gets the same exact pour, so please don't, even if you finish yours and maybe somebody else doesn't want theirs, please don't drink it because she doesn't want to get fired, basically. So I respected her wishes, but I will say at every other distillery, if there was one I really liked and my wife didn't finish it, I definitely drink it. They never said that in the rule book. Like, hey, you can't. You know what I'm saying? They know we're there to drink. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Somebody's gonna get extremely intoxicated. Like, once you finish those drinks, like the tour is over. That's it. They send you to the gift shop, and you go on about your day.
That's the Kentucky water. Special water.
Definitely spicy.
Anybody else try the water in it?
Yeah.
Change it for you all?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Anybody get the wart down in their chest? Okay.
Kentucky
y'all know this
Hug.
already. Yeah, and it's not heartburn, it's Kentucky Hug.
The Kentucky Hug, chat. Oops, sorry.
And the minute you get with this one,
Stop,
it's
stop,
kind of
stop.
sensation that's left on your tongue after swallowing. So if it kind of tends to linger a little bit, that's what we consider a long finish.
Sorry.
So should be really long, smooth finish with this one. Now if y'all want to drink some
So I won't
water,
drive you guys crazy with the whole thing. But yeah, so that's what I was doing here. That's basically what I was doing. I was testing out, seeing the quality, seeing if I could play it back, see how it would sound, all those things. And I think it worked out pretty good.
and then for those of you that booked the experience, we're going to send you all an email kind of asking how we did.
And then let me just give you a look at, I did the same thing for Buffalo Trace. So let me give you a look at Buffalo Trace. We were standing, so yet another thing, Buffalo Trace. After all that hot weather and everything, we had to stand up for the tasting. Wheatley Vodka, Buffalo Trace, Blanton's, and Sazerac Rye, all produced in the same place.
It's actually a Roman numeral, C-L-I-S. Anybody watch the Super Bowl this past year? L-I, 59 Super Bowl, right?
You see those
It's 159. That's how many times?
plastic cups.
I think the marketing department gets an A.
Again, I don't care. I drunk everything. Like, people were tapping out. Like, it was rough.
59 times still, it's not
It was hot.
This one is $100 for distillation. It's a very heavy.
And you can see my stuff slowly disappear.
Very hard to find. That's probably the best.
That and the Amaranth are two that I've wanted.
There's not many things that I don't like. on the rise, but I do like it too. It's just more of a nice to have on it. It has AA on it. Yeah, hot chocolate is myself. Is that every bottle you want?
And then you're gonna see the wife tap out soon.
Look,
Let's go back.
serve people a single barrel bottle. Let's do that. That's how they came up with the idea. So go ahead and taste the blend.
She had her little thing running the whole time.
Yeah.
That's my little Patrick. Who you calling doofus? Pointless.
It's a flagship of its own. You know, that match.
Hope you guys liked all my stories. I'm trying to post some outfits for you guys.
H&H is just higher up on the warehouse.
That dude right there with the beard is pretty the same. Me and him were like the same exact height. So we had to duck going through all the little warehouses where they were storing the barrels and stuff. But yeah. It's the Sazerac.
Congratulations, sir.
That Sazerac is strong. And at this point, chat, you can clearly see I'm not even tasting anymore. Look at that. I'm not even tasting anymore at this point. I'm just shooting them. like I'm already toasted. I'm hot. The day's basically over. Like I'm just shooting these things at this point. You shoot too many bourbons like that, you'll definitely be hurting. Time for drinks now? Yeah. I was drinking the whole time. So I had a really good time. And then I was still having a good time when we did like I said, we did Makers and we did Michter's the last day. But chat, tell me why an hour before I'm supposed to be at the airport, everyone's notifications started going off and they just started canceling all the flights. Like I was taking a late flight back because, you know, we had 2 tours. And my flight got canceled. Flight got canceled as we're walking in for lunch, which means now I can't order lunch. I mean, I could order lunch. I told my wife to order me something, but I had to get that handled because we had checked out of our hotel room at 11 a.m., right? Or before that, because we had to go to Maker's Mark. So we checked out of our hotel like 9 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, it's a mood killer. We were having such a good time. And then, like, you tell me, do you guys want me to share TMI or no? Do you want some TMI or no? Tell me if you want TMI or be like, nah. So my flight got canceled and I didn't have a room. So I had to now I got to call around. I wasn't panicking nothing. I don't really care. Like that type of stuff doesn't bother me. So, okay, want the TMI. So my flight got canceled. I went through the whole ordeal, got rebooked. Obviously, every airline. So I wasn't able to find any flight home on any airline. So I just knew, I'm like, yeah, it's a wrap for the night. So they got us booked for the next day, which is today. Early in the morning, they got us on the flight, which is fine. And the only issue is we didn't have a hotel room. So then we had to get rebooked up for a new hotel room. New night, but now we're leaving super early in the morning instead of in the evening like we originally planned. Again, not a big deal. We just stayed at, a hotel close to the airport. That was fine. Hotel was great. So, I'm not blaming anyone, but we went. So now, because we're still here, now we have to do another dinner, right? We have to eat. So I'm like, we could just eat in the hotel. Like they have a bar here. They have, they have all this stuff like we could just eat here. And somebody's like, oh, this place got pretty decent reviews on TikTok. So let's go try it. So before that happened, I had right after lunch. So right after lunch, because when we got to lunch is when I started making all the new accommodations, right? So I'm on the phone with the concierge and all that stuff, making accommodations. So after lunch, we go hang out a little bit. We have some more drinks. My friend's flights end up getting canceled. I think we all figured that was going to happen, considering it was all due to weather. So we went and checked in and stuff, and we're like, all right, let's get relaxed or whatever, and we'll reconvene later. So I took a nap. And as a result of that nap, I had to wake myself up and get myself ready. So I had to wash my face, get myself, all right, we're going to dinner. I'm in the car, we're riding. And then I realized we're driving for we're driving for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, I don't know where we're going. Because I knew everybody was talking about where should we go, but I'm like, where are we going? And then somebody's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to this place that got pretty decent reviews on TikTok. So I'm like, all right, cool. I don't care. Whatever. So we get to the place and immediately everyone's like, where are we? This looks pretty sketchy. Right? Not gonna blame the place, but I'm gonna tell you what happened. Cause I was good all weekend. I was energized and everything. So then we're looking, we're like, this place, I'm like, all right, well, let me go in and just see. Because I think some people were having doubts and some people were like, I don't care, we could go. So it was like split. So I'm like, let me just walk in and see. I went in and it wasn't like a 5-star. It wasn't like a Michelin place for sure. But it was just like a little, it was a little, like a little neighborhood type of spot. So we ended up eating there. And I guess the short of the story, because the food was decent. But when I got back to my hotel room, chat, here's the TMI part. That food destroyed my stomach. And I am confident it was the food. It was not all the bourbon I had, because I was drinking bourbon all weekend. I was fine. I was hydrating, all that stuff. After I ate that food, my stomach was straight up bubble guppies. It destroyed my stomach. It gave me straight diarrhea. It was rough. Rough night, rough morning. Then I had to get to the airport, catch my flight and all that, and my stomach is just straight destroyed. Now I'm walking to the airport looking for Imodium or whatever the hell. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I had such a good time, and then I could have been home in my own bed, in my own shower. But now I'm trying not to shit myself every 5 minutes. What the hell? What, man? That was crazy. And I'll tell you this. First of all, I don't know why I have scissors in my hand. I'm going to tell you this. The place was like a soul food place. Right? This might be controversial to some, right? But I was definitely a team player. Me personally, I do not eat. I typically do not eat soul food out and about. Unless I go to a really well-known restaurant, I don't typically go eat soul food. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Because I've eaten at so many different type of establishments. You learn as you get older, right? And soul food is one of those type of foods, especially considering the place already looked a little sketchy. I should have known better, right? soul food can mask the freshness of food because of how much seasoning it has. And then also another thing is the barbecue chicken, right? So soul food places typically have barbecue chicken, like green beans and stuff like that, stuff that's really seasoned, especially barbecue chicken. And again, chat, I knew better, but I didn't. I was like, I'm gonna be a team player. It's all good, you know. I understand what could come from this because I knew, especially like barbecue sauce, because for the way I was shitting, chat, like there obviously was something wrong with the food. I don't know. I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you whether because it could be from anything. It could be, let's just say, oh, it could have been a mixture of all the drinking I did and then eating, which I doubt, right? Because I was drinking really quality liquor, not mixed with anything, right? And I was fine all the time. I had plenty of meals. I was fine. I think it was the restaurant, but it could have been the grill they use. It could have been the expiration date on some of the food may have been passed. You know, if I was to assume, especially a smaller business, which it was, in a neighborhood, which it was, and it wasn't like an affluent neighborhood, I'm going to say that that business more than likely stretches the expiration a little. That's gonna be my own guess. And the reason I say that is because I've been there before and I know people do it, especially when it comes to certain places that serve certain type of food. That's why I don't really order like barbecue chicken, right? Unless it's like KFC honey barbecue chicken that I used to get back in the day. Like I don't typically get barbecue chicken because barbecue chicken is like not barbecue chicken. Barbecue sauce is really good at masking the taste of anything. When you eat barbecue sauce, that's all you taste. So if something is not quite right, it's a little spoiled or something, right? And I don't think I had food poisoning because I think it would have came out the other way. But something wasn't right. And my stomach is still not 100% there, but chat. Rough and unfortunate because it was the last day and the day you were already supposed to be. Exactly. I was already supposed to be at home. So now I had to get this whole other hotel room just to shit in it. Like all night. And you know, sometimes your mind starts to get the best of you when like you're in certain situations. So like I'm on the plane and it's like, all right, my stomach has really been putting me through a number. And this is how I always think when I'm in those type of situations. It's like there is almost 25 minutes of a window from the time you leave your gate and start the taxi, unless you're in a private plane or something, to the time where the pilot says, okay, I turned off the seatbelt sign, feel free to move about the cabin, right? There's like a 25-minute window. And that 25-minute window is torture if you're in any type of situation where you need to get up, right? Because years ago, me and my buddies were drinking for a bachelor party. I mean, drinking all night, beers and liquor and everything all night. And then we went straight to the airport. And I got in my seat and that plane started to taxi. And I realized I never went to the bathroom. I had to urinate. I didn't have to do anything else. I just had to urinate. But the fact that I had to hold it, I was literally talking to myself like, all right, you have to be prepared to either piss on yourself, get banned from this airline, or figure out a way to secretly piss in a bottle with no one seeing you. See, Misty, that is smart thinking. Except for I was in a hotel. I didn't have any type of transportation. I didn't have anything. I'm like, yeah. Might have to start doing that when you go on those, like a diaper just in case. That's a good idea. Side note, I know a race car driver, and they say the way we save time so we can win races, because sometimes it comes down to the last couple of seconds, is all the drivers wear a diaper. Because if they have to piss, then they just piss on themselves and they finish the race. But yeah, pretty sure it was that place. Because my man, it's been killing me. And then on top of that, that flight was early as hell, so I had to wake up super early in the morning. And then after I woke up so early in the morning, what do you think had to happen, chat? It's Monday. What do you guys think had to happen? If you're guessing I had to work, you would absolutely be correct. I started to call off, but I was like, no, I can push through. Because sometimes I do that. I'm like, all right, I'll just go ahead and push through. But I was seriously like, listen, I need to just sleep and take medicine and hydrate and all those things. But instead, I was a trooper, and I worked, and I attended the meetings and all those things. So your boy does what he does what he does. So yeah, that was my weekend, and now I'm back home, and I have to prepare for a long week, because this week, just so you all are aware of all the things that have to go on this week, besides me trying to recover from a tender stomach and a very tender behind. My baby boy birthday is this week, so the little monster is turning 3 years old, which means we have to get the house together. I have to get my grill together. I have to figure out all the remaining logistics for the week, for the house, for everything. As you can see, everything's all still thrown around, but we're having a party outside, so. But I still have to make sure everything's down here straight, because sometimes, parties sometimes go longer. It goes from a kid's party to like, all right, the adults are hanging out. Yeah. But my baby boy is turning 3. He also, if you guys remember, the situation with all the assessments. Sorry, chat. Gotta stay hydrated. Gotta stay hydrated today, for sure. Shout out to the nieces at that age. Yeah, 3. He's turning 3, so you might recall that he still doesn't have a school to attend. Well, he does have a play date this week. The other place that we're trying to get him in, that's how they do it. They don't do a Brigance assessment. They do a play date. And I guess they just want to make sure your kid isn't Sid from Toy Story. Right? They don't want your kid to walk in like, oh my God, it's Sid. Or Marlo coming. For those who are from Baltimore. If you know about The Wire, if you know, you know. Right? They want to make sure your kid's not torturing people. So fingers crossed that works out. I feel like he's been doing really good. We are, this sounds so first world-ish, but this is absolutely crazy. We have been keeping him on an iPad detox. So ever since he went to his test, and he basically didn't say anything in there, and then we brought him home and let him just like, all right, whatever happens from here is going to happen. So he wanted his tablet, and we gave it to him. My oldest son, he didn't get a tablet until his 3rd birthday. But Santa Claus brung a lot of electronics last year and upgraded people's electronics. So everybody rotated, and that ended up with one iPad that was used that got repurposed. and Santa Claus rewrapped it and gave it to the 2-year-old baby. So he loves it. He knows how to use an iPad, but we are putting him on an iPad detox. So no iPad for him. No iPad for him. He may be able to get his iPad back at some point, but right now, no. Not until you're in a school. When you're in a school, then maybe. But for now, no. Use your imagination. So, we're almost close to an hour, but one more story before we go, chat. You guys know I always find or see or experience wildlife here at my house. And because I do not live in the city, I live in a suburban area / rural area, right? I'm a suburban kid, right? So we find a lot of wildlife out here. If you don't know this by now, the tallest building where I live is the Walmart, right? Technically, the Lowe's might be a little taller, but the Walmart is the tallest building, right? So we experience a lot of wildlife out here. Today, because I got back and I just couldn't after work, I was like, I got to get outside, right? My stomach's killing me. I got to just get out in some heat and just put myself through it, get back into the grind mode, right? I get on my tractor, cutting my grass. What do you think happened, Chet? What do you guys think happened? I'll give you a hint. It has to do with wildlife. But what do you think happened? And where's my phone? Because this is proof, right? No guesses, chat. Misty, you got any guesses of what happened pertaining to wildlife and me on my tractor? After this sip of water, I'll tell you. So you guys know I always find frogs, turtles, crickets, lizards, spiders, there's all kinds of stuff, right? Rabbits. There's a family of rabbits living in my backyard now. Wasps, bees, spotted lanternflies, white-tailed dragonflies, mud daubers, bumblebees, carpenter bees. We got one eagle. We have vultures, all those things. The deer cannot actually get in my yard. They can get in the front yard, but not the backyard anymore. Long story short, we have everything. Voles, there are mice out there. There's everything out there, right? You name it, it's out there. Foxes, all kinds of stuff. Today, chat, which let me know that yes, now is the time for me to either one, take out my chainsaw, or two, call someone to come out and start trimming some trees. Because as I'm driving and I'm doing my, cutting my grass, you know what I'm saying? I'm listening to my Drizzy Drake, right? Got my headphones on to tune out the loud motor. You know what I'm saying? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? Right? I'm listening to my Drake, you know what I'm saying? Cause I know when a highlight bling. You feel me? I'm grooving, chat. And I'm driving, about to make my way behind my pavilion, make my rounds. It's like laps, I kind of do the same pattern most of the time in my yard. But I'm going behind the pavilion. And this I'm just going to say, this big ass snake just fucking fell out of the tree and partly landed on my foot. And mind you, I'm driving this tractor and that shit landed on me. That shit scared the shit out of me. Chat, right? First of all, just seeing a snake in general may startle most people. That shit landed on my foot. And I'm like, what the, you know what I'm saying? The motor's loud. I got the music on my head and my earphones are in noise canceling. And it's just, it was crazy, right? And this thing is slithering away, slithering away. It's getting away, but it's like erratic because it just fell out of a tree, right? And I didn't do it on purpose, chat, right? I didn't do it intentionally. I never try to harm wildlife. You guys know when I find stuff, most times I keep it for like a day or so, at least, and put it in my house in a little tank or something. But that was not happening with this snake. His head got chopped off by the tractor, and his body was still moving. His body was still moving, chat. I said, dang. And that was not a little snake either. You know what I'm saying? I come across garden snakes all the time. You see a little garden snake, little cute little garden snake. You can normally find anything, a stick or something really quick and toss it. But this damn, let me show you, chat. Warning, this snake, his head is not attached, but I don't think you can see it that well. But just look at this fucking slithering ass. Look at this, chat. Do you guys see that? Look at that. Right? So his head got chopped off. I did find the head, so that's the head in there. I threw it in there. And I had to pick the snake up, and I put him inside the little bucket. And of course, in true, trying to channel my inner country boy, what do, chat? What do you think what do you think I did? What do you think I did, chat? I just accidentally chopped off a head in the snake, RIP to Slytherin, right? His body's moving around. It's like, dang, that's messed up. I'm going to go get my son. I said, hey, it's a snake back here. You guys want to see it? So I let them see the snake. And then here's the crazy part. My son, the older son, the ninja, right? He's practicing his staff. So he has a bamboo staff and he's out there practicing. And we're talking, and for a complete, for a quick second, I think I might have accidentally traumatized my baby a little bit, right? Because for a second, my son is like, all right, tell me, does this look right or blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking at him and we completely ignored the baby for a second. And it came back to me like, oh, where's the little one at? Normally I don't care because they can run around. My yard's safe. They can encounter animals. It's fine, right? It happens. They can go, they can, do whatever. So we're like, where's the baby? And chat, when I tell you, I turn around and I look up the hill and my 2-year-old is holding this snake in his hand. He's holding the snake in his hand, chat. He took the snake out the bucket and was holding it in his hand. And if you're wondering what all that stuff is around the tank, yes, it is whatever was coming out of the snake. It's not venomous. I think that's called a rat snake. But yeah. So I turned around and saw my 2-year-old holding the snake in his hand with no head on it. And I'm like, no, little baby, put the snake down. And he goes, no. And he drops the snake in the bucket. And he goes, the snake scared me. but it was really me who scared him because of how I yelled. And it wasn't that he was holding the snake, it was because the snake didn't have a head, and I didn't want the blood of the snake to get on him. So I had to go wash him, and all that stuff. So, yeah. So that was, yeah. Yeah. Gotta let boys be boys. But, like, bro, put the snake down. So now he was saying, oh, the snake is scary. I'm like, no, the snake isn't scary. And I'm trying to apologize to him. Like, that was me. I yelled. Sorry about that. I felt bad. But, yeah. But that snake scared the shit out of me. That shit came right out of a tree, right in front of my face. Just, I was like, what the? Chat. I damn near jumped out the tractor without putting it in park, without lifting up the blade or anything. Just good thing when you hop out the seat, the tractor automatically shuts down. But like, that's like an improper shutdown. It's like when you hold the power button on your computer. Like, don't do that. Every now and again, it might be okay, but don't continue to do that. That's not going to be good for you. So yeah, so that was my weekend and my day, and then now I have to work in the morning. So W's to that. That was a little bit of me just chatting. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you showing me love as always. Right? It's always a good time. But yeah. I think I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it there. If you'll indulge me, let's go ahead and raid out with all 3 people that are in the chat. 1.3 million people in the chat. But yeah, we gotta let's go ahead and raid out. While we do that, you know the vibes. But it's been a good one. I gotta finish hydrating. Y'all pray for my stomach. Because y'all know. Listen, if you learned anything today, you learned that, hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with soul food. But barbecue sauce, whether it be on any type of food, will mask the taste of essentially everything. So be careful. Be careful with the barbecue sauce. Yeah, it was a pretty decent weekend, Misty. Let's get it. Let's get it. And then I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. I'm gonna try to. I got work tomorrow, but we'll see. I may end up finding time to actually get online tomorrow. Normally I don't stream on Tuesday. I didn't get to stream this morning because again I was trapped going through the airport. But yeah, I'm gonna try to maybe try to get on tomorrow. We'll see how things go. But yeah, y'all stay right there where you at. Because we gonna run it. We gonna run it. And when that beat drop, y'all gotta catch me on the next joint. You feel me, chat? W's in the chat. W's in the chat. Appreciate all the support. I'm gonna have to get back to making my upgrades this week. Y'all let me know what y'all think.